There we go. All right. Welcome, everybody. I'm going to do a couple quick notes. My name's Kyle Haynes. We're excited for our February meetup. Uh, Wanted to say some special shout outs to some of our sponsors, No Fluff Just Stuff. We're going to talk about it in a little bit. Source Allies helps us a lot with all of our social media stuff. And then a shout out to JetBrains for having a license that we can raffle off at the end. If I can click the next page button, here we go. So a little bit of info about SciJug. If you have not been here before, SciJug, Central Iowa Java Users Group. We are a volunteer-led user group, trying to keep for ourselves for application developers in Central Iowa area. We are doing monthly meetups that are mostly virtual. So we were virtual last month, we were virtual this month, but next month, every third month, we're going in person. So if you're in the Des Moines, Central Iowa area, we will see you in person 1 month from today. Our big objectives, obviously, are just to learn, teach, share, network, get to know people that enjoy Java or enjoy the ecosystem. And our audience is really anybody interested in learning. Kind of a quick plug. Can I speak at SciJug? Yes, we would love you to speak at SciJug. Anything from 15-minute talk, 30-minute talk. If you want to go an hour and a half, we can do that. If you want to find a buddy and talk with them, that's fine too. We have a sessionize URL. If you're interested, you can click on that, and our call for speakers is open there, where you can come and talk, submit your thing, and we'll reach out to you. Let me go to the next page. Real quick ping. Super early bird. So not just early bird, but super early bird registration is open for the Central Iowa Software Symposium. So in West Des Moines. September 5th and 6th this year is Central Iowa Software Symposium, hosted by No Fluff Just Stuff. There is a code, JUG1 NFJS25, that you can use from now until March 28th to save $100 on your registration if that's something you're passionate about. It's a great conference. We've been there a couple times, and I've always enjoyed it when I get the chance to go. And then hang on at the end. We like JetBrains. They're my favorite IDE. I know a lot of people love them too. So at the end of the presentation from Michael here, we will raffle off. We have one full year license to any of those JetBrains products listed. And we've got a big spinner wheel. We'll randomly pick somebody at the end. And whoever wins, I will email you a raffle or a code that's good for one free year of any of those products. And that's it. That's my intro. So welcome to SciJug, Michael Redlich. Is it Redlich? How do I say your last name? I don't know if I said it right.
Well, there's a German way, but then the Americanized way is Redlich. So
okay, all right.
And I'll use the old joke about not calling me late for dinner. So
yeah,
but anyway, so yeah, sorry, bad joke. All right, so thank you very much. First of all, thank you for asking me to speak. Let's see, get that going here. Oh, I got to hit OK there. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so it's my pleasure to be here. And this is, I haven't given this talk in about a year and a half now, so I was able to spruce things up a bit. I added just 5 minutes about MongoDB itself. Yes, that is the Superdome in New Orleans. My wife and I were there at the beginning of this month for 2 full weeks. So we got to hoot and holler with all the other fans at one of the local bars watching the game. So that was fun stuff. All right, so enough about that, right? So yeah, so there has the history of Java EE and Jakarta EE is quite rich. Goes back to 1998 with the Java Professional Edition. I haven't found any links or references to that, but the reason it got changed to J2EE was because of the creation of the Java Community Process. So you can see how it's evolved. And of course, you see the big name change from Java EE8 to Jakarta EE8. And that was after Oracle donated Java EE to the Eclipse Foundation, and it was open source. We're still waiting on Jakarta EE11, or at least the full rollout. The core profile was released back in December, and the platform and the web profile, they're targeting this quarter to get done. And a lot of that delay was upgrading the TCKs. So, and I think this will make things more robust to get out Jakarta EE12 and beyond. So, well worth the investment in time in this case. So, so I'm Mike. I'm a Java champion, and I do all these things that you see listed right there. My primary work is with InfoQ, and then I do some work with Payara. I'm the director of the Garden State Java User Group, and I'm on the Leadership Council for the Jakarta EE Ambassadors. And I'm a committer on Jakarta NoSQL and Jakarta Data. And my very first ever book was released in December on Helidon, and I'm pretty happy about that. But it was a labor of love, that's for sure. But enough about me. Oh, and by the way, I retired from ExxonMobil in June of 2023 after 33 and a half years. So what I do now, all this you see on this slide is what I do full time. All right, so there's a poll. I don't know if people can put things in the chat, but this is more for an in-person, event. So for the next 3 hours, I plan on covering all this. Of course, I'm kidding. About what MongoDB is, Jakarta NoSQL, JNoSQL, and the NoSQL database types, and the different layers, and what's Jakarta Data. So I don't know if anybody's familiar with that, but I plan to cover that for a couple of minutes. So, all right. So MongoDB, right? I just got the one slide in the demo, right? It's a document database, so it's a document NoSQL type, right? And high performance, high availability, all that good stuff. Its name comes from humongous, and I think this is more than just urban legend. I think this is actually documented somewhere, so that's kind of cool. And it was written in C++. So we'll get to a demo right away already, and I have right here going. So in the bottom of my terminal, that's MongoDB running in the background, and then I have a beers database, and I'm a craft beer enthusiast. So what better database to show than a craft beer database, right? So I do have, this might be easier to show this here. Compass is like a visual, application to see everything. So you have all your collections are so the database itself, and then you have the collections. There's the beer collection and the brewer collection. So I kind of, coming from relational database side of things, I still kind of practice this normalization stuff. And the only thing really I have here is the brewer ID, which matches to the brewer collection. And we can actually do some kind of inner join with MongoDB. And that's kind of cool. So with that, to do a find to get all the beers in the database, you do that. The db.beer.find, and it presents everything. It's just the name, the type, all that good stuff, right? And then you can do the same thing for brewer, right? And then you got the brewers listed here. And so if you want to add a data or something into the database, that's the lookup. Oh, okay. There we go. Let's see. So we'll do another Porter. I'm just making stuff up here. So I think that's one called Santa. I know him. That's right. Santa, I know him. Yeah. I'm a big fan of Evil Genius Brewing. They're out of Philadelphia. So I think this is probably 10. But if we screw things up, we can always blow it away, right? I'll make it 11. So, duplicate key. Look at that. It does take care of me. All right, I think it's 13. So there we go. So you can see here, it said, hey, I got a right result, right? And so let's look at Compass. It's more easy to see this. Oh, we got to refresh too, though. Where am I? The brewer, we added a beer, I believe, right? All right. Yeah, 13. And And you can see Santa, I know him, right? Now, what you do is now the one thing about MongoDB, it's based on binary JSON. All right, to do a join of some kind, it's very, very tedious. All right, so here's the way you would do this. You use the aggregate function. We're going to reference the beer collection, all right? And then from the brewer, the local field, the brewer ID, right? And the foreign ID, of course, is ID from the brewer collection. And then we'll call it beer details as an output. And then we'll do .pretty, which is kind of a cool little thing there, because now it formats it nicely. And you can see the latest the beer that I added in there, and you can see beer details, and then it has the information from the beer brewer collection. Very, very nice, very, very powerful. But I mean, I had to look this up earlier today just to remind myself and how the heck you do this thing, right? But there you can see there's a heavy use of open, parens, square brackets, and curly braces, so it can be tedious. So I guess doing these things programmatically would be a little more, useful, right? All right, so let's go back. Where are we here? Okay. And there's ways you can delete and, do all that other stuff, right? So anybody know who this is? Anybody? Anybody? No? Oh, come on, Kyle. I see you.
I'm sorry. I feel like I should know this guy, and I don't. I feel like I've seen the video, but I don't know his name.
Yeah. No, Rodney Dangerfield. He's no longer with us, but he's look, Easy Money, Back to School. Some of those movies. Won't be disappointed. But this is where I use this as a break to say, are there any questions? I know it's kind of early, but if there's any questions, I'm more than happy to stop here for a second. But there's stuff in the chat, isn't there? Let me see.
So far, we've been talking about Evil Genius beer.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Oh, MongoDB is brand new to us. Okay. Cool. I do have a MongoDB presentation. It's I'm middle of updating that too right now. So, but yeah, I can show you where that is at the moment. So, all right. So we've checked off what MongoDB is. Give you an idea. But I mean, the crux of this presentation is the NoSQL specification. So Otavio Santana, a friend of mine, is the specification lead. I don't know him and some of the others. They're very active, and it's hard for me to keep up, to be honest, with all the emails coming up. And I, try to do some commits here and there and stuff. But that's why he's the lead, right? So, but yeah, it's great working with Otavio, and but yeah, so basically, this is a way to streamline the integration of Java applications with all NoSQL database, not just document database, right? So, and there's a set of APIs to do all this. So interestingly, this was approved in October 2020, and this may not sound like a big deal, but you will when I get into JNoSQL. I don't know why I have that statement here. Choosing was as its implementation was a natural fit. Yes, but for some reason that should be out of place. But in any event, yeah, this is considered one API, many databases. Sorry, I was thrown off by that. And then the Eclipse Foundation encourages Java groups to quote unquote adopt a specification. And we've done this with NoSQL and with Jakarta data, which I'll talk about in a little bit. And it's basically really easy to do, and it's for us, we're involved, and it's kind of a good way to contribute to the community. So, all right. So right now the current status. So we try to get this in for Jakarta EE11. Unfortunately, some of the folks in the working group didn't feel as if it was ready enough. So basically the verbiage on the Jakarta EE website is in development, supporting whatever latest Jakarta EE version that is. Milestone 1 has been ready, for a while now. And we are trying to make some movement to get this included for Jakarta EE12. And as you saw earlier, they're targeting 2026, and we'll see how that works out. So, but in any event, so that's where that stands. All right, but in the meantime, you can still use it, right? And it's I think it works very nice. All right, so we'll talk more about that. We'll get into the application and dive into it that way. But the next thing I want to cover is JNoSQL under the Eclipse Foundation. So, all right. So, in case if you guys don't know, these are specifications, and there has to be a compatible implementation, like a vendor does. And the way they do that is they pass a series of like thousands of tests, called the TTK, or the Technology Compatibility Kit. So JNoSQL is that compatible implementation. And you see there, it was introduced in March of 2017. I'm like, and you're probably like saying, hey, wait a minute, how can the implementation be ahead of the spec itself, right? Doesn't make any sense. But I guess, as you see in the last bullet there, Ottavio put this together, and it was supposed to be under the JCP. But then, which he had put out there, and then the whole spec came about, probably 2019 and approved in 2020. So it was kind of a little bit backwards, but it's a great story. Yeah, so one defined API for each NoSQL database type. You can use the same annotation to map Java objects. And those annotations would be the entity ID and column annotations that you can use in Jakarta Persistence, Jakarta Data, and in Jakarta NoSQL. So the current version of that is 1.1.4. I'm using 1.1.0 because some things changed in 1.1.2. And I would have to go back and clean things up in order to make that current. But so a lot of breaking changes. All right, Eclipse JNoSQL, we're done with that. All right, here's the NoSQL database types, right? And I'll explain Duke with the big arrow, bow and arrow there. So there are four. Key value, I'm sure a lot of you heard about key value databases of some kind over the years, right? That they've been around forever. Column family, I'll tell you right now, I have no experience with them, and I'd like to at some point. And then of course document. NoSQL types are, MongoDB and others, and we'll get into that. And then graph is the other one. So if you remember your graph theory from computer science, that this will look familiar. All right, so key value, just like it says here. Now, I'm using references to, to mythology, and this is, Ottavio is huge on mythology. And my stepdaughter too, right? And so it's funny, and so I've learned a lot about mythology over the last couple of years because of this, right? So you have a key of Apollo, and he's the god of sun. Ares is the god of war, right? And you can do more than one, like Aphrodite, and Hephaestus is the god of fire. So, and then if you map out what's in the relational to the NoSQL, where the table is a bucket, a row is a key value pair, there's no corresponding for a column or a relationship. All right. Next is column value, but it's row based, but then there's columns for each row. And it's to visualize this, right? You can see how this is right there, right? So again, we're using Apollo, Ares, Aphrodite. And I forgot to mention some of the example databases. In key value, a lot of you, I'm sure, heard of Redis, Memcache DB, and REAC, all right? And example databases in column family are Cassandra and Hadoop, HBase, all right? The main advantage that this has over relational database management systems is that it's a faster search, access, and data aggregation, right? So, and here in this table, again, mapping over from relational to the NoSQL world, right? A table is a column family, and a row is a column, and a column is the key value pair. So a little bit more complex. And in the column family, you really want to avoid using something like this if you have to do complex queries. All right. So, and you can see by the way it's structured, that's like that. All right, document databases, as I mentioned, MongoDB is uses binary JSON. And so you can see, that's how it stores in binary type. But of course, as you saw, the output was all in regular straight text, JSON itself. All right. So you can see here, just typical JSON, with that. All right. And then here, so the table is a collection. A row is a document. That's what I was trying to figure out before. And then a column is a key value pair. And it has this link relationship. All right. And similar to the column family, you want to avoid this if complex queries, if you have that. And I think you had an idea about how tedious it is to write that all out. So that's why I had that ready, because could you imagine sitting there waiting for me to type all this out? You guys would be, logging off and getting a beer already. So, why listen to a guy talk about beer when you can have one, right? So it makes sense to me. But in any event, yeah. So that's the situation with document databases, and then with graph, get a little more animation here, right? So graph theory, if you remember, and there we go. So Apollo and Ares are brothers, right? That's their relationship there. Apollo knows Hephaestus. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but Hephaestus loves Apollo, and then Hephaestus knows Ares. So it's just a simple, diagram on how all that works together. I don't know if I remember in my graph theory, doing all these nodes and edges, and it's a similar metaphor, right? So, excuse me. All right, and then in graph here, so I talked about edges, and it's instead of nodes, it's a vertex, right? So that's your relationship going back and forth. So, what else on graph? Example databases are Neo4j, which I'm sure everybody here has heard about. MongoDB and OrientDB, just to name a few. Okay. Oh, there we go. All right, so we covered that so far. All right, the different layers. And so I ultimately learned, right? So Ottavio, being a big fan of mythology, he used his layer name with that. So the communication layer was formerly known as Diana. So when he had his GitHub repository, right, that's what it was called. And the same thing with the mapping was called Artemis. But I come to learn that one is the Greek god, which is Artemis, and then I think the Roman god equivalent is Diana. So wow, pretty cool. So, but so they've been renamed, especially since the spec itself came to be. So that's when all that got changed. So, but it's fun, right? So yeah, here's a cartoon on how all that works together, right? You can see the different database types and all that. So, so that's the reason why you see Duke with the crossbow and the arrows on there. All right. So the communication layer itself, right? It's a set of APIs, obviously for communication, as the name implies. And then there are modules that cover all four of those database types. And you could probably consider, or sort of compare this to, JDBC, right, in relational database world. And then there's a mapping layer, which, synonymous to using Hibernate or any other kind of ORM. And so it's the same kind of thing. You map your Java objects to NoSQL databases. In this case, you can use Jakarta Context and Dependency Injection, or CDI, and you can also do some validation, which you'll see in the example. So heavy use of annotation, right? So a lot of good stuff going on here with this. And that's been around a while, right? The Hibernate has been around quite some time. All right, so in here, this is just basically scalability as a function of complexity. So you can see key value, high scalability, low complexity, and so on. And you can see graph, is basically the most complex and the least scalable. And this is basically a shot of all the different databases that are supported. I know I haven't gone back to see if there are any others, but you see all the big ones on there, right? Cassandra. I've heard of Scilla. I actually did an InfoQ news piece on Scilla a couple of years ago in the database queue. I normally write for the Java queue, right? But then you see Neo4j and so on. Right? All right. Phew. All right, we're moving along here. Everybody still with me, or have I put people to sleep yet? Okay, so yeah, okay, here we go. I don't know if there's any questions at the moment, but we got Rodney back here again. So, all right, Jakarta data. So what the heck is it? I don't know if anybody's heard of it yet, but it is a new spec that was voted in, I guess, beginning of last year, and the release or the review itself to be included in Jakarta EE11 had passed, right? And so if you think about object-oriented programming, you can think about data being a base class and Jakarta NoSQL and Jakarta persistence as derived classes, right? So everything was to sort of have this relationship between the specs. So yeah, it's quite nice. Some things have changed in Jakarta persistence and Jakarta NoSQL. Some of the APIs in Jakarta NoSQL changed, and you still have like the template, but they had individual templates, document template, graph template, but those are all gone, and everything sort of now harmonized into something more generic. All right. So obviously, provides an API for easy access to databases. And what's here is the repository interface that the framework itself will implement it once you compile and run. So you could do all your query methods and things like this. And we'll talk all about that with the example. All right, so I put the what's new slides from my Jakarta EE11 talk, just to, some of the things that were new for Jakarta data. So you see some new, some annotations, some new methods. There's a data repository, which is pretty much like empty. Then from there, you can extend from data repository and, create your own find by methods. Basic repository will have some of those defined for you and so on, right? And same thing with CRUD repository. So it's kind of neat. And then before everything was released, because Jakarta persistence has a query language, well, we came up with a Jakarta data query language. And I thought this was kind of neat. And unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to participate in putting that together. But I do know it exists. I have to yeah, I am retired, but I tell you, it's, a lot of people realize, hey, wait a minute, how did I actually do all this work and everything over the years? So, but anyway, yeah, so I eventually get my mind wrapped around all that at some point, along with AI and all the other things I want to learn, right? But so yeah, so this is quite a nice feature. This was thanks to Gavin King, who is the creator of Hibernate. So he helped us put all that together. So the current version is 1.0, and then compatible implementations are Open Liberty. Now, if you notice the 24.0.0.6, this was their June release. So that's how long ago that we passed the TCK to be as part of the whole release plan. And then Hibernate ORM 6.6, I think 7's on the verge of coming out. I think there's a milestone 1 or 2 release or something like this that's out there now. So, all right. So I think this is where we'll do the demo. All right. This was, yeah. Okay. So there's a couple things we can show here. So I'm going to actually get out of this since we did all that already, right? And I wanted, here's where I want to be. I have a Jakarta EE11 repository, and it has folders for each spec, not every spec, but some. So I have a NoSQL spec, right? And this is a command line application. My Jakarta data application is REST, so we can look at both of those. But let's look at the first one here, right? So this one's a little more simple, right, since it's smaller. So just like with typical ORM, there is a beer class or a POJO, a plain old Java object with the getters and setters. Can I use records? Yes. But have I done it yet? No. So that's something to work on, right, in my spare time, as it were. But yeah, this is just a basic POJO. If you've been working with Java for forever, then this is very familiar to you. A couple of things I want to point out. This is some Jakarta validation. This is a not null annotation with a message that says the brewer ID is required. So if you don't have it, it barks at you. And what I like about this, so you see the column annotation, right? It's by itself, but you can provide a parameter, and this is brewer underscore ID. And this refers to this brewer underscore ID, this variable. Now, what's interesting about this, normal camel case, POJO type is different. It's brewer ID with a capital I, all right? So this is how you wire the two together, all right? So in every other case, they match. So the ABV matches within the database, but these don't match. So this is how you wire that up. So it's kind of a neat feature. Interestingly, this does not work in persistence. So they are the same, but they're not the same. So yeah, so like again, you can look at this at your leisure. I also have a builder pattern thing going on here. So yeah, that's all there for you. The same thing with the brewer, right? And same kind of thing. The ID annotation, right? That's to specify a primary key. And then we have a repository here. And then this is new, actually. I had pageable repository here, but pagination broke. Things got changed with that. So I had some pagination examples. But I'm like, oh, we got this new NoSQL repository. Let's use that, right? So basically, you got the repository annotation, and we're going to extend from NoSQL repository. And then, as far as the generics, you type in beer and long, right? And then your find all, right, is defined right here. All right. Now that would be something else. I have a beer type enum, just to to sort of abstract that out a little bit, right? And the same thing with the brewer repository, right? Same kind of thing there. Or everything happens here. Yes, it's one big main. I know, yell at me. Yeah, I know. We should not have that. I know, bad programming, right? But it's not terribly long. And basically, you can use an SE container in Java SE, all right, for that. And this is how you actually instantiate that, right? And you have it in the try with resources, all right? So we wire up the repository.class, right? And then interestingly, these are streams, and if you notice, I had to do it again, right? I had to do the same thing, and you're like, well, why the heck is that? And I actually experimented again, and I'm like, that seems kind of stupid, right? But it does get consumed when you actually use it here. So this will bark at you if you go to use the same variable, for example, or just try to use it again. So that's something I need to look into as to what's going on. But in this case, first I want to say, all right, how many? What's the count of number of beers and what's the count on number of brewers? And then once you do this, right, you do a beer repository find all. And by the way, I don't have it here, but you can do find by name, you can do find by whatever, right? And but in this case, I have just a find all, and I output the number of beers into the database, right? And then okay, so now we do it again. We do a find all, and then do a for each, and using a lambda, and then putting out all the content of the database itself, right? So everything you see in here will be output on the command line. And so one of the things I keep telling my wife is, once we retired, we can open our own brewery. Of course, that hasn't happened yet, but it's still a wish of mine. I tried my hand once at making a batch of beer, and it didn't come out so bad, even though halfway through I thought it wouldn't work out too well. But come up with this fictitious name, Red Lake Brewing. Mid City Stout. Mid City is a neighborhood in New Orleans, right? So we have that there, and let's see, we have. So then I just increment the number of beers as the ID to add it into the database. And let's see, I don't know if I have it in there already, but and then I'm using the builder, right, to just create our class, or our object, I should say. All right. And then to run this without adding anything to the database, I have those commented out. Now there's more than one way to do this, right? We can use our beer repository variable to use the save method and save the brewer in the database, and similarly with the beer repository. However, and then this test didn't work out too well, so I had to comment it out. You can do the template, and you can do that and get a get, and this works too, right? And you can uncomment this, and it's an insert method instead of a save. All right, so let's run this without putting anything in there. You can get an idea of what it looks like. And we'll do a clear, and then oh, there we go. All right, come on, demo gods, don't fail me now. All right, so far so good. Okay. I toyed with the idea of writing this out to a file, and I figured it was just going to be too tedious to do in time for tonight, so that is on my wish list to do that. So let's go back and go up. You have to put this down. There we go. All right. All right. So yeah, basically I have a welcome splash screen, or ASCII. So, but you can see the different JSON output using the for each that I showed a few minutes ago. And then there's the beer, and then there's the brewers. So I did do the Red Lake Brewing, didn't I? See, look at that. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So let's change that. Let's make that. Let's make that. We'll comment out here. Let's go. Let's do Williamsburg, Virginia. We like to go to Williamsburg. Okay. Yep. All right. So this will be the third, brewing company that my wife and I have, right? And we'll call this some kind of IPA, and Colonial IPA. How's that? I like that. All right. There we go. All right. And with, we got to change that to IPA now. All right. And we'll make it a 10%er. How's that? All right. So that'll knock you out in a hurry, right? And yeah, we won't comment these. Okay. All right. So let's run this again. Okay. And I forget if it puts something. Oh, I think I do have something. All right. Yeah, I don't think it does any output there. Okay. So let's see what the. So it should have it in the compass. So back to compass, and then we'll do a refresh. And I'm fighting with the screens of everybody's thumbnail. So you can see the 13. All right, where are we? Why is this thing? Okay. All right. Did I not put a? Maybe I did here. There we go, 14. All right, and then refresh right. So there you go, Colonial IPA, right? Brewer ID is 11. I probably should have changed that, but no, I think that was correct actually. Yeah. And in the brewers, the 11th brewer now, and you can see Williamsburg and Red Lake Brewing there. So yeah, so that works nicely. And do I have a delete? I should have a delete somewhere. One thing programmatically is to do an update. I have not done that yet. I know I have a delete somewhere, wherever that is. Oh, thought I did. Maybe I took it out for some reason. But I think it's brewer brewer repository dot delete and then the ID. Yeah. No, I did not update this yet. If you look at the repo now, I think it's different. But there's another original repo that has all that in there. But I know we're at 7:15 already. Let me see what we got for questions here.
There's one question about like more Mongo specific on indices and how do you decide which index to use and that kind of stuff, which I tried to
I see. Yeah.
put a little info on. It's probably more of a case by case use case from my past experiences, but depending on what you're querying.
So single indexes, yeah. I think you can index in MongoDB. Yeah, I'll be honest, I have not had any experience in that. I know I've been to the MongoDB World Conference, so that was about 6 years ago.
Okay.
So yes, I'm pretty sure you can do that. I can try to find out some more. But yeah, I see you've already added some.
Yeah, there's
some
a lot. Yeah,
there.
I'll put a little
yeah. So let me write that down. So indexing. That's a good question. Yeah.
There's too much to know in this profession, you know?
Oh my God, yeah. It's just, yeah. But yeah, so thanks for that question, Matt, right? And I can reach out and try to find somewhere. There's a lot to MongoDB. There's this whole Atlas thing that's going on there and so many other things. It gets very in-depth. One of the fun courses I took or sessions I took was with Node.js and Mongo, and it was just really easy to just write the commands and do some stuff. But then again, that was 2018, so I was a younger man and had a little more hair. But so this will be updated, and in the repo, it takes me 2 seconds, obviously, to do that in Git. If you want to look at more, there is the Jakarta data, which we can demo. There's a concurrency. JWT Bridge is a new spec that's going to reside under the microprofile specifications. And this is a way for Jakarta security and microprofile JWT authentication to work together. And so just to give you a quick, there's a new annotation, nice short name right here. And basically it has just everything, all these parameters in here that you can use for defining, something related to JWT. So good stuff here. And yeah, so take a look at it. There's, persistence is a work in progress. So, and then I have security, servlet, and all the others, right? So Jakarta data, I have let's see, I have a REST application. So this will be MVN clean package, and we'll start Payara micro. Again, I'm using Alpha 2, I think. So Payara is, one of the Jakarta EE compliant middleware application servers out there. They're not, they haven't fully done implemented everything for Jakarta EE 11 yet. By the way, there's 16 specs that have been updated for Jakarta EE 11. So some of that would be security, servlets, of course, data is brand new. I think RESTful web services is one of them. So upon successful deployment, you see all the different endpoints, whether, and plus whether it's a post or a get or, whatever. And then let's see here. Yeah, you can see my email. All right. Close out that. And we could do localhost 8080. There we go. There we go. There we go. All right. There we go. All right, so now you see the nice REST endpoint. I do all these examples that have REST applications. They have a splash screen at the beginning, right? And so then, this DB endpoint is basically just injecting the, nothing too exciting, but, hey, you can do that. The list of beers, as you just saw, the list of brewers, and then you want the 5th brewer, right? You can get that. Let's get number, 11? Oops. That's my fault tolerance right there. There you are. So, slash what is 11? 11 should exist. Occasional disruption. 12. Yeah, there's the Mid-City Stout, right? So yeah. So you can do all that with, with Jakarta data or Jakarta NoSQL. I just haven't migrated over the NoSQL version to something like this. But this is the kind of thing, that would be more real world, right? As opposed to a command line app, I mean, who wants to do that? Let's see. Let's get out of that. Okay. So other application servers, of course, Wildfly, IBM, Open Liberty, and there's a couple of small ones. There's a Piranha Cloud. There's Glassfish. Glassfish was resurrected by 4 guys that started their own company called Omnifish EE, and they're the main maintainers now of Glassfish. So let's see. Go back here. Okay. Let's go back. I'll just wrap this up. All right. All right. So we did all that, right? I just wanted to some resources. If you, I believe these links should work if you get the slides. There's the specification itself. One of the InfoQ editors, introduced Jakarta NoSQL. This news piece goes back a few years, of course, right? And this was a YouTube video by Ottavio and Rafael Del Nero. And then the guy Baildon. Who hasn't heard of Baildon, right? I mean, he has got great how to on any topic. This guy is great. Eugene Parashiv, right? So I love these, right? And then my My repo is there, all the example applications. This will be evergreen. I decided to do a change log so you can see what's changed over the years, not over the years, but last year. That. Let's see. So if you want to get involved in open source, and I always like to mention this because it's important. I guess there's a myth out there that in order to contribute to open source, that you have to do code. And maybe people aren't comfortable with that. And I get that. That's fine. But anybody involved in open source would appreciate things like, improvements in documentation, right? And then also I did a news piece, something with Micronaut, and they had a script, and I was using the script. It didn't work. I looked at it. I fixed it, submitted the PR, and then they accepted it. And so this is the kind of thing that with the Java community that makes it so great. You can all work together. And if you haven't met Tanya Obradovich, right, she's the Jakarta EE program manager at the Eclipse Foundation. All right. So I work with her quite a bit on a lot of these things, right? The Garden State Group were part of the Microprofile Working Group, the Jakarta EE Working Group, right? All that. And if you have your own experiences, please, like Kyle said, hey, speak up and say, hey, I want to talk. All right, so that's the thing, right? Everybody, this is what this is why the job community is so awesome. So these are all the list of committers right here, and you see Otavio is the lead, and you know what? I just found Venner Kiel is actually a W because that's the German way of. I don't know how I flubbed that, but I did. I got to fix that. And then this acknowledgement page is actually from my developer's guide to Jakarta EE11. But again, these people somehow helped in any way, shape, or form. Even just the smallest bits of information that sort of it closes those gaps on things, right? So yeah, it's some people help more than others, and it's just it's great. So I have to say thanks to them. My contact info right here, it's my email. I'm still on Twitter for the moment, and let's see, and that's my personal website and the portfolio page and my GitHub repo for other stuff. And this is an AI generated image, beer and chocolate, and this Barry Bird, one of the other co-directors, basically put this together. He's the chocolate fiend, and of course I'm the craft beer guy, right? So I think that's it. I can show you real quick. It takes care of the slides. I can show you the. Okay. Let's see. NoSQL. So under development, as you can see, and you can have all this information about the release plan, the spec document in both, HTML and PDF, and here's the Maven coordinates, right? So compatible implementations and so on. And then, most importantly, where is it now? Oh wait, oh here it is. Spec adopters here. So there we are. That's our logo. So. But if you want to know more about us, it's, oops, I didn't clear that out. All right, we do have a meetup page, but I'm old school, so I would prefer the website. You can take a look at what we've done. Brief history for 2 seconds. We've been around since 2001. Most of that time was under a different name, and then we went on our own in 2020. And we created our own nonprofit, and we have sponsors, and Payara is our gold sponsor right now, and we do the same thing. We have IntelliJ licenses once a month. So, but that's us, And as I was telling Kyle earlier today, it'd be great to have more of a working relationship between the two groups. If you're ever in Jersey, please come out and say hello. I'll buy the first round at the local pub.
Yeah, there you go.
But I hope this was useful. I see some more comments in the chat.
Yeah, there's a
If I
link
can
about
open
or
it.
a question about a
Yeah.
copy of the slides, which I think I found
Yes.
on your website. I think, and I linked
Yes.
to them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't. And by the way, don't judge. It is 10 years old. I I do have something in the background on my development side working to make it more modern, but that's you know yeah. If you go to redlink.net/portfolio, you can probably go here and then if this is recorded, I'll put the link. So you can
Yeah.
see how many times I presented this, right? Um, but yeah, it was fun updating this, especially adding some other stuff. Oh, the picture. Oh, thank you. Yeah, yeah. Oh, the slides. Okay. GitHub. All right, cool. All right, good. No questions. Is anybody? Hopefully, I didn't put anybody to sleep. So,
I hope not.
but
No, that's super interesting. I see a
yeah.
lot of
So,
I feel like I see a lot of the like, I don't know, more high level Spring stuff that abstracts it even farther away from you. So it's kind of fun to go see the little lower level nitty gritty.
yeah. Yeah, the interesting thing about Spring, there seems to be this, I don't know whether it's warranted or not, this war between Spring and Jakarta EE. But the funny
Sure.
thing is,
Yeah.
Spring uses Jakarta, so
Yeah, I
it's
know it's yeah, that's what it's under the covers. You
so
don't know you're using it, but you
it's
are.
yeah, it's an interesting debate, and but but that's all
Yeah,
good though, right? Yeah. So
that's
we got
cool.
one new message. Okay.
I was gonna open it
Nice.
up. Any questions from anybody else?
Man, I kept this to 1 hour. Holy smoke.
One
I
question.
Yeah.
One question.
Yeah.
So, you talked about a lot of the libraries like Diana, Artemis. How many of those did you have to pull in your Palm to have the simple one, the console app to work? Or
Oh,
did you have
okay.
to pull like
Yeah. So
17 or?
no, 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 not
I'm
yeah, no.
joking, of
So
course.
I'm yeah, I know, but no, but I was just giving some historical perspective on how it started, and it's just basically where is the so I have a generic POM, right? The parent POM here, which has all the modules, and so basically you just have to pull in the parent POM the platform and right, and then the web app, the web um, profile itself, right, and any micro profile. Oh, one thing I didn't show. Yes, very important into the resources. I'm using micro profile config, and when you saw that welcome to Jakarta EE yeah, it's basically you can inject that, but here's how you wire up to the database right here.
yeah.
Yeah, and then of course MongoDB has a default port of 27017, but the POM file for this, oh here it is. Oh, I am using 1.14. Maybe that was something else I was messing with. So I brought in MongoDB, right there, and that's it, really. And this of
Nice,
course is the plugin for the, yeah. So it's real simple.
nice.
And if I open this up to everybody. If you see something that can be improved, please, let me know, or do the typical GitHub pull request and all that. But
Hmm.
yeah, it's really easy using a lot of these specs. I tend to start, especially if there's one I want to learn, like concurrency, for example, and I sort of borrowed one from the Jakarta EE tutorials. That's another great repo, and it's gives you an idea on how to use some of these things, right? So,
Nice.
but yeah, good stuff.
And one more question. So, the repository seemed to be very, very easy to get started, right? The repository interface. If I was using Neo4j, which is the graph type, would it be also as simple? It would be like for like replacement, or
Yeah, that
would I
one
have
is,
to use?
I think at the beginning, and I don't know if it's changed. And the graph databases I have not used yet. I'll be just to be totally honest with you on that. I think Cassandra is one of them, right? And I'd love to do an example of each one, right? Originally, there was Apache Tinkerpop was the graph, the way you implement the graph. So it wasn't homegrown. It was using something already out there. But somehow I seem to remember something had changed over the last year with that, and I'd have to reach out to Otavio on that. No, I know Cassandra is a big database that's out there, but unfortunately,
Yep.
I haven't done that yet. But yeah, I can try to find out more on that. So just using that database, in itself, I'm not sure. Are you using that one, by the way?
No, just curious because it seems that the specification is going to cover NoSQL, so all the different 4 types that you mentioned. So I was kind of curious
Yeah.
to see if it's the same abstractions, and then it would be easy for a developer to kind of experiment with a graph database or a key value database while still using the same kind of abstractions.
Yeah, it's basically, I think overall, yes. I know there's some differences with like ArongoDB has annotations specific for ArongoDB, but those are implemented. You can use those, right? So I know that is out there. So there are some differences in the implementation of each database type. But it's in the documentation as to what's out there.
Perfect.
So
Thanks.
how to use that. Yeah. I wish I had more time with some of these things, right? So
I know it's hard to kind of cover all those different types, and you already showed, like, from the slide, all of the different types of databases that are already supported. That was a big list.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, no, that's what's great about that. And I think Otavio has written a couple of books on all that. If you look him up, he's got a website and he has all his books listed on there. So I keep telling him he needs to get out here to New Jersey and give a talk in person. So
there you go.
He said, and a quick funny story. He was living in Brazil at the time we agreed for him to remotely present, right? And then it was a couple months ahead of time, and then in the meantime he moved to Portugal. Now you had a bigger time zone difference, and I'm like, dude, you realize it's going to be 11:30 at night, right? So he still did it. He still did it. Yeah. So yeah.
That's
good
cool.
stuff.
I love it.
So.
All right. Any other quick questions here at the end? Otherwise, we can raffle off a JetBrains IDE for somebody.
Well, I'm curious to see. I'll stop sharing. I'm curious to see your
sweet.
spinning wheel. Then.
Oh, it looks a lot like everybody else's spinning wheel, I think. Look at this.
Look how
look
cool.
at that. I even put it's got the right colors and the right logo in there. All right. I think
nice. Wheel of names.
Yeah. I need to switch it. There's a duck racing website that I like a lot that does the same thing, but everybody's a different duck. I was gonna go
Wheelofnames.com out there.
Does anybody not see their name on here? Because I think I got everybody. I can't even find the chat wherever it went anymore. Zoom's so hard to work around. All right. I'm gonna spin the wheel, and then whoever wins, if you want the license, feel free to you can DM me in the Zoom chat here. I'll be able to see the chat. If you can DM me your email address, I will send you an email. If you don't want it and you get picked, please just say you don't want it, and we'll re-roll, and we'll see what happens. All right. I wish you could hear it too. There's like a little clicker sound when it rolls.
That's neat.
We got Skyanne. Woo! Congrats. Are you still here? You're still here. Are you interested? Maybe. I don't want to kick everybody off before. Not interested. Okay. All right. We're re-rolling. That's all right. That's all good. We'll get somebody to get one. Lucky number 2. Oh, Eric. Is Eric still here? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I'm trying to see if Eric is still on the. Oh, he is still on the list. All
Oh,
right,
there we
Eric
go.
would be
There we
happy
go.
to
Nice.
take it. All right, cool.
Nice.
I will message
Yeah,
you.
we gotta do something a little better. Do have a random number app, and I have to type the names into a text file. I read that, and then I randomly choose somebody.
Yeah.
But I have to do that
Yeah, it's,
offline. So
yeah, I was trying to keep track of
so
names while you're presenting. You did a great job.
yeah.
We were gonna
Thank
do
you.
just. Oh, you're good, but I was just gonna do another special shout out. Thank you to everybody that showed up
Oh
that
yeah.
was new today. I rolled two Kirkwood students. Yeah, we had a lot of people from Kirkwood. That's cool. If you guys are ever in the Des Moines area on the third Thursday in March, stop by. Uh, we'd love to have you guys. But yeah, again, shout out to No Fluff Just Stuff, Source Allies again for doing all of our social stuff, JetBrains for the IDE, and Mr. Redlich. Thank you so much, man. That was awesome.
So yeah. First of all, thank you everybody for taking time out of your day, to come hear an old man ramble on about things, but no, I do appreciate it. If anybody's going to DevNexus or Java One, please stop by, and I'll probably be hanging out at the Eclipse booth and then the Payara booth at Java One. So, but yeah,
Awesome.
cool. So,
I appreciate it, guys.
yeah.
Everybody be
So,
good, stay warm. Hopefully we'll get out of next month when we meet everybody, it'll be warmer. It'll be in March. Spring will be here.
exactly. Yeah, no, same here in Jersey, right? So,
Yeah, that'll be great. All right. Well, I
yeah.
appreciate it, guys. You guys all have an excellent evening. We'll see you next time.
Folks,
Thanks again,
thanks a bunch
guys.
again, and we'll talk. Yeah, take care.
Appreciate it.
Thank
Yeah.
you.